That looks good. That looks pretty good too. Okay. Okay, just checking myself to make sure I'm checking my hobo levels. Forum, how you doing? How you be? Top to the AB. Give me 1 second. I will address you here in 1 quick second here. Just need to do a few things. If I have toothpaste on my face, I am sorry. I apologize. I am doing my best, Forum. I am doing my best. All right, give me 1 second here. Let's gotta do something real quick. No, just do that. And then scroll down, and then copy, then go back. I don't know why it does this, but I'll try to figure it out sometime this weekend. Paste. Save. Alright, bet. Oh, I want to do that too. Okay, give me 1 second. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll give it you guys in 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. Let me do. Sorry, I'm just gotta figure this out. Content. This is the first content I did that on. Yes. I don't know the value of tags, because tags came out after I turned 30 and stopped caring. So I put tags in everything very badly. I don't know if it's good or not. I'm just trying to be as inclusive as possible when it comes to tags, to try to see if I can reach an audience. So I don't really know, when it comes to tags, but I'll add them. We'll see what happens. All right, cool. I think we're good here. All right, just making sure I'm not playing any audio in the background to mess up you guys's flow. I don't think I am. All right, cool. I think we're okay. All right, let me close all that kind of stuff. Farim, how you doing? How you be? Top to the AB. And I know I just said that, and as I started my intro, I realized I just said that. Okay, what happened was, like whenever you, well, okay, so I was checking my other channels like TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that, but those guys are like black holes. And like I'm kind of standing right outside the rim and kind of checking things just to see, what's better. Do you like the smaller format? Do you like the larger format? Do you like it in 4K? Do you like it in the 1080 by 1920 with the 3 and the video and the playing and all that kind of stuff? Or do you like it with the full screen with the video game playing in the background? Like, I'm trying to figure out what people like and what people don't like, and trying to figure it out across multiple platforms. But as soon as I go to those platforms to check analytics and stuff like that, as soon as you log in, it shows you somebody else's video. And so then you'd be like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then you scroll down and it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. You scroll down and then you get caught in the web of Instagram and TikTok. And so I get it. I get, the level of addiction. So I know that my genre and what I'm trying to create is not exactly TikTok or Instagram friendly, because nobody is really going to TikTok or Instagram to learn. And I get that. And I get that that's not really what you would do when you go to TikTok. You're kind of there to be entertained and to kind of kill time. So I'm trying to make my channel, as well as the videos that I make, as entertaining as possible, as well as attracting as many people as possible. So it's kind of one of those kind of situations. So let me check my chat here, make sure my chat is good. It should be good since we fixed it last time, but let me go ahead and minimize just to make sure I can find it here. I think it's hiding from me, so let me close it and reopen it real quick, and we can get started. Alrighty, chat, where you go? I don't see you, chat. Well, I see you here in the actual video stream, so I'll just take that as there's my chat. But for some reason, it's not showing up anywhere else. So let me see, where are you at? What's going on? Chat. Okay, restream channels. You there? Oh, okay. So they're off the screen. I see what's happening. Needs to access your Facebook account. Reconnect. Oop. Let me see here. I think something happened with my Facebook restream. I'm not exactly sure, but we shall see. Stop that. Okay, well, we'll just go on without the Facebook stream. I think it'll be okay. We'll have to fix it. I think it may be having some issues, same way with the other one, but this one's a little different because it's acting like it doesn't have access or something, and every time I try to figure it out, it I don't want it to start showing some stuff I don't want anybody to see. So I'm trying to fix it, but all it does is just take me there. So I just got to figure it out. All right, I'm not worried about it. I'm just gonna have to disconnect and reconnect, but I'm not gonna do it now while I'm in the middle of a stream. Okay, let's get to it. Let's actually get to work here. I'm so sorry. It's been what, 7 minutes, and all I've been doing is talking my head off. I truly apologize. But I do see chat here, so if you do reply, I think I will be able to see it just by monitoring it here. So let's go ahead and get going here. So let's switch to the top version. I got some good stuff lined up, I think. We'll find out. I haven't actually read anything, obviously. I just kind of click on it and then hope for the best. Let's scroll down a little bit here to make sure we kind of get everything. All right, cool, that works. Alrighty, this is from Technical History 2468. Mr. History writes, no, let's do Mrs. History writes, because obviously you can't really tell gender from these, so I'll just say Miss, Mr, they, them, whatever. So they write, recently got an email from someone saying they are going to leak my photos and information if I don't send $950. Interesting. Supposedly a hacker has been on my computer and has access to my internet. And the thing is, I have been to some sketchy sites to download games and hacks for some. And he sent me a photo of my computer screenshot and also my HW hardware ID. But the pic was from a long time ago, around February. He also said he hacked into my internet and could see things I was looking up and my history and such. He also said he has pics of me masturbating and is going to send it to all my friends and family and even post my personal information online. He said that if I give him $950 and send it to his Bitcoin account, he will immediately delete everything he has on me. This isn't, no. Just don't do it. I'll explain why here in a little bit. I don't know what to do, and since I'm a minor, I don't have access to that money. Can anyone let me know whether this is a scam or not? I have since never downloaded anything suspicious, and I even deleted Windows or reinstalled and upgraded to Windows 11. Small update, I thank you all who have helped me, and I also have noticed that all my emails that he has sent this scam to have all been emails that were previously on my account but now are no longer used, meaning that he only had information on me from months ago and no longer has any of my recent information. So thanks to everyone who has assured me. You guys made my day, and I wish you guys all the best. There were 84 comments on that. I apologize. That's actually, it was 12 hours ago. I was like, I didn't even see how many comments there were, but yeah, they all pretty much probably agreed with exactly what I was about to say, man. It's okay. First off, somebody getting your information, he probably got that information at some point in time, but it wasn't because he got onto your network. Okay, you got to think about it like this. When it comes to internet, okay, think of your home as the inside and think of everything outside that's dangerous as the outside, okay? Traffic can come from the inside and go to the outside, but traffic that's on the outside will not come to the inside unless you explicitly allow it, or it's the return flow from something on the inside. So for him to actually be able to get onto your internet and see your computer and all that kind of stuff, he would have had to have been let in from something, or he would have had to have accessed your firewall, or your router in this case, or your wireless router, which is really hard to do from the outside. He would have had to be in your house, or you would have had to have some type of a program that would have allowed him to access it through a remote desktop, because it's very difficult to hack somebody from the internet. It's super easy to hack somebody when it comes from, them installing something from a thumb drive or TeamViewer or something like that, because that's a little bit easier to find. It's a little bit easier to do. It's more streamlined. When you have the broadness of the internet, it becomes far more difficult. So you can even hide within the internet because it's just so many IPs. You see what I'm saying? So it's very hard for somebody to get new information from somebody just because they say, oh, hey, I got this information. So what they were doing was they were trying to bribe you, and they were trying to make you feel uncomfortable so that you sent him money. As soon as he said, okay, the first word, I was pretty much already saying that this is a scam. But when he started talking about sending to Bitcoin, there's no guarantee that this man is going to actually even if he had it, there's no guarantee that he's not gonna release it. You see what I'm saying? So there's no guarantee here, and it's no different than like Crypto Wall and Crypto Locker when they first came out and they were doing ransoms, and I'm sorry, not Crypto Wall and Crypto. Yeah, I think it's called Crypto Wall, but doing things like ransoms and stuff like that is no different than that, where they were like, okay, I have frozen all of your hard drive. In order for you to get it back, or encrypted all of your hard drive, in order for you to get it back, you need to pay X amount. And then they'll release it and stuff like that. And sometimes they wouldn't even release it. It's exactly like that. These are scams. You have to be on the lookout for that. And if they did get you at that one point in time, change all your passwords and make them more difficult in order for people to reach them. If you have any remote desktop software, TeamViewer, Zen Desktop, stuff like that, remove it all. Okay, now of course if you need Zen Desktop for work, then so on and so forth, that's fine. But I'm talking about any type of remote software similar to TeamViewer, remove it. Okay, and just leave your antivirus and stuff like that, run Malwarebytes on your computer, things of that nature. But yeah, this is a straight scam. I agree with all of my colleagues that probably left comments on that. So I'm really happy that there's still positivity in the world. Alrighty. Why is this always so hot? I don't want to turn on the AC because I'm afraid it's going to affect the sound. Sound quality has always been pretty good, so I just want to leave it at that, even if it means that I sweat. So let's go ahead and go to the next one here. I'm glad that there was some positivity in that technical history. All right, another super long one. Okay, so we'll go from here. All right. Whew, okay, let me get ready here in a different shirt. Trying to change it up a little bit. So I changed the shirts. It's not because I don't want to wear the same shirt. I 100% do. I changed the shirt so that whenever I'm going through the videos to cut them up, I want to make sure that I'm on the right video based on the shirt that I wear. So it's like, okay, I'm on, video 5 of shirt orange or something like that is the way I look at it, or I'll look at the date. But even the date some kind of throws me off, but I can always just look at the shirt from far away and know that I'm on the right one, because it's really hard to mix the dates. If you look around, it's completely black in here. So I can't see sun, like I don't see the sunlight because I don't have my windows open or anything like that. So days can just melt together. So it may say the 15th, but you don't know if you're on the 15th or the 18th, so on and so forth. So, and if I make, 9, 10 troubleshoots that we do in an hour's time, it makes it very difficult to know like which one you're on whenever you come back and start trying to edit and make videos. So, alrighty, let's go ahead and get started here. So this is going to be from Proxy2D. Proxy2D writes, status is still unresolved. Okay, cool. We got one that hasn't already been solved. Okay, so he has an Asus ROG GL552JX. GPU is a GTX 950M, 2 GB of virtual RAM, no overclock. He has an Intel Core i5-4200H CPU, 2.8 gigs, no overclock. Motherboard, Asus, but it's a laptop. RAM, it looks like he has 8 gigs of DDR3L at 1600 megahertz. PSU, no one cares. Operating system and version clean install of Windows 10 64-bit build. Okay, so he just reinstalled Windows. I got this laptop in 2016, and for a while it had no issues running games such as Ark, Lost Ark, just straight Ark, and Witcher 3 at medium to high with no issues. However, since the past year or so, it has been unable to run games like Sea of Thieves, Ark, V Rising, Conan Exiles, all with the lowest settings. It has been unable to run, okay? I believe this is a processing issue, as generally it has no issue running single-player games or games like League of Legends at medium-high with no issues, even when there are plenty of effect sprites. Okay. Additionally, I have noticed that even browsing files has slowed by a second or two, even though it is functioning on the SSD. It had been upgraded and fixed up over time. The Max M RAM and an additional SSD, which has been installed onto, have been added. Okay, which Windows has been installed onto. Okay, so Windows has been installed on the SSD, and that recently happened. Notably, these both did help a lot for a few months. The laptop has had its BIOS reset, thermal paste reapplied, and all parts checked for fitting. Okay, let me scroll down a little bit more here. All right, a little bit more. One thing that may be a notable issue, however, I am not sure, is that the display, Intel Graphics, is using a low amount of memory with a total amount of, that's not a low amount, 2160 megabytes, which is 2 gigs, and a display memory 112 megabytes. Shared memory is 2048. Additionally, the graphics card is running with a total memory of 10,146 megabytes, 10 gigs on a 980M. But you said it had 2 gigs of virtual what? Okay, well, anyway, it says its total memory is 10 gigs, display memory is 2 gigs, shared memory is 8 gigs. However, I'm not sure if these are issues or can even be fixed. They can't be fixed because it's a laptop. Okay, so if you're running a GTX 980M, which should be able to run most of these games, Sea of Thieves, Ark, for sure Sea of Thieves, it should be able to run those kind of at low to medium settings. So, you know, if he's having a problem with that, now, here's the question, okay? Oh, I'm sorry. There's okay. Well, here, let me keep my point before I lose it. So here's the question. He never mentions specifically if he is having issues on the older games. He said that he had no issues running games such as Ark and Witcher 3 at medium to high with no issues back in 2016. However, since the past year or so, it has been unable to run games like Sea of Thieves, Ark V, Rising, Conan Exiles, all with the lowest settings, but he never mentioned if he tried Witcher 3 and Ark. So I would do this, okay, for this particular situation. I would try Witcher 3 and Ark now. Okay, Witcher 3 hasn't changed. Okay, it's been the exact same game since 2016. Okay, there was a DLC, but outside of that, it's been the exact same game since 2016. So for those 2 games, I would try them again on your laptop and see if you can still run them at medium to high settings. Now, here's the thing: if you can't, then you may be having some issues with your GPU, but at the same time, you've already reinstalled Windows and you've already done everything that you possibly could when it comes to software based. Okay, so you've done the gambit. You've updated your BIOS, you've done RAM upgrades, you swap it out to an SSD, and you reinstall Windows and reapply thermal paste to the CPU. You've done everything you possibly can software-wise, and I am extremely proud of the way you troubleshot this, because you pretty much eliminated all software issues. You know, so unfortunately though, the only way you can look at this as being hardware limitation at this point. You see what I'm saying? So, but you know, an Intel 4th series CPU on a laptop, of course, is still going to be quad core, no hyper-threading. So either quad core or dual core, but I think it's going to be either dual core with hyper-threading or quad core, but no more than 4 CPUs. But still, that should be enough to run like Sea of Thieves, especially on low to medium. So the fact that you can't run it at all, you know, there may be some degradation happening with that graphics card, or maybe some issues happening with that graphics card, but it's really kind of hard to say. But you really can't do anything about it. Now, of course, now you can try to turn off some of the programs that are running that are utilizing GPU memory to see if that can help, or utilizing CPU memory and see if that will help, because you also mentioned that, you know, it's running a little bit slower as well. You only have 8 gigs of RAM. So if you have another DIMM slot, I would recommend, because he said he did a RAM upgrade, which means that if he did an upgrade, that means that he has a DIMM slot available. I would try, in this situation, because it sounds like you really want to keep this guy, I would recommend upgrading your RAM. Upgrade your RAM to 16 gigs. Just buy it at a store that has a return policy, and try to swap out the RAM with a 16 gig stick and see if that resolves your issue. Because remember, he's still on an SSD. He's still on an SSD, and he still has, you know, a pretty decent CPU and a pretty decent GPU. So if he still has those, then go ahead and upgrade the memory, see if that he's only at 8 gigs, and see if that gives him an improvement, and see if he's able to run those games again. You know, so for this particular situation, what I would recommend, just to wrap things up, is to try his games again that he used to play back in 2016, Witcher 3 and Ark. Try those again, see if they still work on medium to high settings. If they do, then it doesn't seem like there's a degradation happening, but there may be a memory situation happening, in which case I would just recommend going ahead and upgrading the RAM to 16 gigs. If he's having a problem on those as well, like Witcher 3 and Ark, then it's a possibility that there may be some degradation happening on his graphics card, and his graphics card may be having issues. So that's kind of the way I handle that, because there's not much left here. We're going to be looking at hardware, so hardware being RAM and then uncomfortably maybe having to replace it if you wanted to upgrade and get something a little bit better. But this should be fine. This should be fine to run those games at even low settings. Sea of Thieves really doesn't require that much. So I hope that helps here. It didn't have any posts, so I just wanted to make sure I grabbed it to see. And I don't know if I can reply. Unfortunately, I still can't reply because I'm trying my best to try to get on Reddit and try to make posts, but between this and making videos for Instagram and TikTok, it's really hard to get enough karma to reply to some of these. It is extremely hard because you need karma, plus you need time on your Reddit account. So I'm kind of new to Reddit, so hopefully I can reply to this and let him know that I made a video on it and see if that maybe helps him. But I just wanted to reach out because nobody else has on this particular topic. Alrighty, let's go ahead and go to the next one here. Let's check the time. Okay, time is good. Alrighty, any things on this? Okay, I can't. Okay. I was worried that you guys could see what people were saying before I could even look at it. I haven't even had a chance to read it. Let me let me read it because when I looked at it, it showed people replying. So I was like, no, let me read the question first. All right, so this is from Bat Hulk Smash. Nice name. Breaker keeps popping under PC loads. Breaker popping at 15 amps is 1600, somewhere around 1600 watts, and on 20 amp it is 2200. Okay, and you know why I know this because I had to replace all my 15 amps with 20 amps, and then on top of that, the condo that I purchased, all of the outlets were 15 amp. It was awful, and they all were connected together to make it even worse. So I just recently moved into a room I'm renting in an older style house. I feel your pain. Not sure how old. My PC will power on and be fine for the most part, but whenever I play some games, it seems to draw too much power at points and trips a breaker. I was playing GTA Online and it happened twice in an hour. Would it be as simple as getting the breaker swapped out with one that can handle a higher load, or is there more to it than that? There's more to it than that, but it depends on who is doing it. I would recommend having a licensed electrician, take a look at it, like a foreman or something like that, and take a look at it, because if you try to upgrade a 15 amp, because it sounds like this is a 15 amp similar to my place, if you try to upgrade it to a 15 amp and the line can't handle the amount of heat that is from upgrading, then there's a possibility that you could cause a fire, and so I definitely would not recommend that. I would recommend talking with an electrician to see if they can upgrade that from a 15 amp to a 20 amp to give you a little bit more room to breathe. Now it sounds like of course, if you don't want to spend any money, okay, because I want to give you that option as well. If you don't want to spend any money, then what I would do is I would run down to the hardware store and get a it doesn't really matter what it is, but there is a device that plugs into the outlet and lets you know if there's a wattage or if there's power to it. But you don't even need that. I would just go get a $1 nightlight, which is fine, and then all I have to do is, like you said, you flip the breakers and in order to fix the issue because you lost power. You know which breaker it is, so turn off that breaker, or put the lights on different outlets and then turn off the breaker to see if it turns off those lights. That way you can figure out every single outlet within this room that you're renting and within other rooms that are associated with that breaker, because it may be a situation where they happen to have an air conditioner on that particular breaker. I would seriously doubt they would have an air conditioner on at 15 amp, but I'm just giving you an example. Or maybe an iron or something like that that's utilizing so much wattage that you don't have enough room to breathe, because most computers are not going to utilize 1600 watts. That's a lot. So what that tells me is that everything that's in that house is going to be somewhere around 1200 to 1300, or maybe even 1400. So they're already kissing the minimum requirement in order to trip the breaker, because it's 80% of the utilization of the breaker itself. So a 15 amp can only handle around 1600, even though it's supposed to break in 1920, but the minimum is 1600. So I'm guessing they're already kissing the maximum. So this is going to be an issue on their side. So you need to let them know. It's like, hey, it's a possibility that in this particular home, there are multiple outlets that are utilizing the exact same breaker as the one of the room that I rented. I cannot plug in anything into this room without tripping the breaker. Is it a possibility that you can upgrade the breaker to a 20 amp? Or is it a possibility that we can turn off some of the other devices that are in the room that also share the exact same breaker, and see what they say? Because there's that is reason for bringing that back up to the landlord, because how are you going to rent a room that has no availability to plug anything in? That's not how you rent a room. You have to give the person who has the room the ability to actually plug things in. I mean, when it comes to like plugging in just random stuff, like if you plugged in an iron, it's game over. You can't even iron your clothes in this room. So I would definitely just reach out to the landlord or the owner of the home and just say, hey, I'm having some issues and I can't even plug in my computer. And your computer isn't going to be that strong. Now, if you told me like you had some miners or something, then okay, I got you. But if you have most computers aren't going to utilize any more than 400 watts. So that means they're already kissing the edge. And that's how I would handle that situation. I just go to the owner or go to the landlord and ask them if they can upgrade the breaker or turn off everything that is currently using it or move it to a different outlet. Alrighty, Bat Hulk Smash. That is how you would troubleshoot that issue. I'm pretty good on power, I think. I think I'm okay. I think I'm not as bad as I thought I was when it came to power issues, but I think I'm doing better. Alrighty, so laptop CPU throttling due to insufficient voltage. So I have an Acer Zephyrus Duo, you lucky bastard, 16 laptop with an RTX 3080 Ti, 16 gigs of RAM, and a Ryzen 9 6900HX. Okay, I'm thinking about buying a laptop, but if you guys notice about me, I don't really buy laptops. Like, I have a work laptop, but my thing with laptops is it doesn't give me the full performance of a desktop, so I always like building mini ITX desktops and take that with me. Like, I've always done that, and now that I actually can travel because I'm getting older and and trying to pay bills off and stuff like that I can now travel and do stuff. I'm trying to debate on whether or not I want to go with a desktop or a laptop. I'm still thinking a laptop, but I'm still debating. But a Zephyrus Duo is definitely one of the ones that I had my eye on. And only recently I've been having stutters rendering some games unplayable, specifically Apex Legends. Okay, so he's having micro stutters. I found something at times my CPU will throttle up when nothing graphically intense is happening. So for example, I'm in my room in a game, however when I look into the distance or rapidly moving around and changing location, the CPU will throttle down and so will the voltage. He's overheating. So for instance, from 3594 megahertz frequency and 1385 millivolts it's millivolts? I believe it's millivolts voltage, it will drop to 1680 megahertz and 1020 millivolts, 74 degrees Celsius to 71 degrees Celsius. Okay. So with thermal throttled around 74 degrees. At the same time, the GPU frequency also changed drastically from 1.1 gig frequency at 668 millivolts. It will rise to 1920 and 1081 millivolts. The fan speed is also abnormally quiet for turbo boost feature in ASUS, but that could be due to low temperature. Okay, when the GPU frequency is lower and CPU is higher, the game runs absolutely perfect. When the GPU frequency is lower and the CPU is higher, the game runs absolutely perfect. But when the GPU gets more voltage than the CPU throttles and the game starts to drop FPS, I check my power plan and run everything at 100%, just causes more stutters. And in HWin blah blah blah, it shows this. Let me click on it here, make sure it's nothing malicious. I don't think it is. Okay, let's look at this. Alright, so can y'all see that? Okay, cool, y'all can see that. So let me see his, where is temps? Okay, so around here, his maximum is around 68 degrees Celsius, so he doesn't really get all that hot. I was just thinking that is overheating, but I think he just has a power delivery issue. Like his GPU doesn't get any higher than 69.9 degrees Celsius. Like, that's fine. That's well within range. I think he just has a problem with his device thermal throttling. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and go back to this. When the GPU frequency is lower and the CPU... Okay, I already read that. Could a thermal sensor be broken? Possible. Insufficient voltage, broken power brick. This has happened after a BIOS update, so maybe that could be the cause. I really don't want to undervolt a laptop I bought 3 months ago, which I specifically chose for good performance. Well, here's the thing. You bought it 3 months ago. So you are in a golden era of, hey, I can RMA this. So with this kind of a situation, it seems like a power delivery issue or overheating issue. The first thing I thought of, and I even said it halfway through your post before I even finished reading it, was overheating. This screams overheating. However, your temperatures do not agree with my statement. So it's a possibility that there may be some a broken sensor, a thermal sensor, that and the CPU really is getting that hot, and you just don't know it because it's not showing or something along those lines. That's a definite possibility. Outside of that, it could be a power delivery issue. But here's the thing: we said power delivery, and we said a possible a broken sensor on the motherboard that isn't allowed to actually give you the correct temperature of the CPU. But both of those are hardware issues. Now, you said you've done a BIOS update, and since then you started having the problems. You can try to roll back your BIOS, so basically try to go back to the original BIOS that came with it and see if that resolves the issue. If it doesn't, and you still have the problem, then I would just RMA it. Just call ASUS and RMA it and get a new laptop and continue on, because all your issues scream hardware. The first, any tech engineer that looks at this issue, they're going to immediately think hardware, and they're going to immediately think overheating. Regardless of what your temperatures say and what you think your temperatures say, the first thing that you think about with this issue is either power delivery or overheating. Both of those are hardware. Both of those you can't really mess with. Now, you can try to change the amount of power delivery or undervolt the CPU, as you said. Those are possibilities, but you shouldn't have to do that in order to run the laptop at its optimal performance. So, RMA it. Is what I would do in this particular situation if the BIOS does not resolve the issue. And yeah, that's what I would do. If the BIOS doesn't resolve the issue, I would just RMA it, because it sounds hardware, and hardware. So it's like 90% hardware chance. So if that's the case, just RMA it at that point. Alrighty, so we close that one out, and we just did that one. Okay, chat is ready. Okay, cool. Just making sure nobody has to ask me questions. Alrighty, go ahead and go into the next one. Am I out of focus? Okay, I've been out of focus. I don't know how long I've been out of focus, so if I was, I apologize. Okay, this is from Adam Sackler. Internet, make sure everything is fine. Make sure I have no drop frames. Okay, cool. Internet cutting out randomly. Okay, cool. So we're on to an internet issue. Let me get ready, because there's a lot to talk about. Alright. So my PC has been randomly disconnecting for a long time now, but I tried putting it off, hoping it would eventually go away. Your check engine light's on. Don't you want to check it? Oh, Sheldon. That's the first thing I thought of. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh my god, his check engine light is on. So my PC has been randomly disconnecting for a long time now, but I tried putting it off, hoping it would eventually go away. I've read a bunch of fixes online, but most seem to whittle down to get a new Ethernet, reset your router, check your ISP. Randomly disconnecting for a long time now. I'm guessing he means disconnecting from the internet. A few things that might help. I use an Ethernet, but it's not the Ethernet causing the problem. As a family member, I live with let me switch our cables to test it. As a family member, I live with let me switch our cables to test it. Their cable on my PC still cut out. My cable on their PC didn't. Okay. It's not the ISP, as we've since changed to a new ISP with even faster speeds, even though our old speeds were more than enough. It doesn't matter how many other people are on the internet, it still cuts out, regardless of whether all of us are streaming something or everyone else is asleep. This is a newish build which has only borrowed 2 parts from the old build, the SSD and the HD. Okay? Alright, so I'm gonna pause here because there's something I want to let you guys know. When you are reading a customer's issue and he tells you this is a newish build which only has borrowed parts, 2 parts borrowed, which is the SSD and the HD, then he is not opposed to spending a couple of dollars. Okay? Just from that sentence alone. I'm not saying he's a high roller or anything like that, but it changes the things that you want to suggest to fix his issue. For example, asking him to purchase a USB to Ethernet is well within range. So that is now on the table. Whereas if he had said, you know, like that last issue we had yesterday where the customer was like, hey, I'm using my window and it's heating up my room and I'm trying to figure out a way around it, I suggested putting paper around the back of his PC so that it can exhaust out the window. You see what I'm saying? Because the options that he gave me dictated my answer. So here, the options he's giving me is also dictating my answer. So you need to be cognizant of changing your answers to fit the criteria the customer is presenting to you, because that in the long run helps you better troubleshoot issues and become a better engineer and be able to help de-escalate cases that come up in the future. So, you know, if you take an escalation and you're trying to de-escalate this customer, getting to where you can answer his questions properly is very, very useful. And I don't know why I keep going out of focus, and I was really making a good point. I am so sorry. Here, let me do this. Okay. For some reason, I just kept going out of focus. It's so weird. Oh, my lights are dimming. Okay. but yeah, I wanted to make that statement there because it should be noted. And okay, I am not a, let me scroll down so we can actually read the rest. Oh, actually, okay, I think we can go right here. I am not a tech whiz, so if it's something to do with software, it's likely going to go way over my head. So it can't be the modem, the ISP, the Ethernet, or limited bandwidth. True. I see his point. My PC is the only device in the house that does this, which has stopped me from streaming as a hobby on Twitch because it was cutting out several times an hour. More importantly, I need to get it fixed very soon, as I may be starting online courses, which I definitely can't afford to have cutting out every 5 minutes. You had me at Twitch. Any help is appreciated. Yeah, I can help you. The outlet. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next question. No, I'm joking. So yeah, so with this particular situation here, I would say the outlet first. So it sounds like your outlet is bad. You know, you swapped out the Ethernet cable. Obviously, it's not the modem because none of your colleagues or people that are also in that room have any problems. It's not the cable because you swapped cables already. So if it's not any of that, and you're still getting disconnected from the internet, then you're just missing packets. And if you're missing packets, then that points straight to the Ethernet outlet that you have in your room. So particularly if you take the Ethernet outlet off, what you'll notice is that it is a female to female coupler, and there's an Ethernet cable coming from one side and coming out the other side. Now you can prove this with spending no money whatsoever. All you have to do is take that Ethernet cable you've been using in your laptop and plug it directly into the router. If you plug it into the router and it fixes your issue, it's obviously the outlet, and that's all you got to do. And if it is the outlet, just buy a USB to Ethernet dongle and call it a day. That's how you fix that issue. Oh, okay. If it's not an outlet and you hook it up to the router and you still have an issue, then you're looking at the network card on your laptop, in which case you would still buy a USB to Ethernet dongle. So no matter which situation, the result is still the same. So whether it's the outlet swapping out the coupler or on your computer and having to buy like a USB dongle, those are really your only two options in this particular situation. But it sounds like it's the outlet more so than anything. It really just, because it says it's a relatively new PC. So I'm gonna say 80% outlet, 20% your PC. 85% outlet. Plug it in directly. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next one. Alrighty, this is from Classy Dogo. Classy Dogo writes, my phone won't charge but keeps trying to turn on by itself. It's exactly as the title says. I got my phone fixed for a cracked screen not even a day ago. Now working perfect, and when I get home to put it on the charger overnight, I wake up to it being flat and it keeps trying to turn on when I unplug it. Okay, so he's having issues with power on his phone ever since he got his screen cracked. It's a possibility that whenever they put everything in, they may have damaged the pins on the power. Okay, so on a cell phone, in order to get to the screen, you usually have to take it apart from the back, which means that you have to remove the battery. It's a possibility that whenever they remove the battery, they could have damaged the connectors from the battery pack to the cell phone that attach it to the cell phone, which is making it so that it's not getting a proper power draw. So whenever you hook it up, even though it's trying to charge, it can't really charge to the battery. So as soon as you unhook it, it tries to power it on, but your battery doesn't have enough juice. So because of that, it just powers itself off. And it also can't take a charge because it doesn't have the full pin content contact to the battery power or to the battery pack. So in this kind of a situation, I take it right back to him and say, hey, I didn't have this issue with my battery before, but now I seem to have an issue. Is it possible that maybe the pins that connect to my battery pack on my cell phone is damaged? Can you take a look at it? And say, and before you even start, be like, hey, I didn't have this problem before. And let them know so they won't charge you for it. They can at least take a look at it. If you said, this is what happened and I didn't have this problem before, and they know you because it just happened, and they know you didn't have this problem before because they would have checked it when you got there, because it's power, right? So you obviously turned it on to show them the issue and show them the cracked screen, right? See, big brain? So if you, not me, big brain, but I'm saying we're thinking about the issue. So if he came there previously and he had a cracked screen, how would they know it's a cracked screen? He would probably have turned it on and showed them the issue of it being a cracked screen, because he's showing you like the damage to see how badly it's damaged, because it may be some epoxy they may have to put on it versus, or maybe a little small crack or something like that, versus an actual damage and actually affecting the screen and them having to replace it. So he probably turned it on in order to show it to him. Now, of course, if he didn't turn it on to show it to him, then my statement rendered mute. But more than likely, he probably turned it on to show it to him, and now he can't even turn his phone on. Now, if they come back and say, oh well, here's the thing, we don't have any type of warranty with that, we replaced the screen and that's all we did, and once we left it and it left our hands, everything was perfectly fine and working in the screen and it came on. So I don't know what to tell you about the situation. Then okay, you may have to have somebody else take a look at the power. But that is what it sounds like. It sounds like the pins may be damaged, and because of that, it can no longer hold a charge. Okay, classy Dogo. That was a nice rant. I like that one. That was a good one. All right, let's go ahead and go to this one here. So let's make sure that nobody can see anything. Okay, cool. So this one has no comments. Great. Another issue, that could hopefully, I don't know. I can't even freaking reply to these. It's so frustrating. Netflix player loading, unloading turns monitor colors odd. Okay. I'll start up Netflix in Chrome, which a few episodes of something, then close the tab. When I close the tab, one of my monitors goes wonky in color. Not inverted, but not normal. If I turn the monitor off and on, it'll reset the color to normal. Also, if I restart Netflix playing something, the monitor color returns to normal. I narrowed it down to the Netflix player. First, when I open Chrome, turns monitor colors. Okay, so he's doing it on his computer, is what I'm trying to figure out. I was trying to figure out if he's doing it on his computer or if he has something like a Roku or something. Because he's saying he's doing it on Chrome, then I'm guessing that he's talking about his computer. If I turn the monitor off and on, it'll reset the color to normal. Also, if I restart Netflix playing something, okay. I narrowed it down to the Netflix player. First, when I open Chrome, tabs open to where I left off. The monitor's color doesn't return until Netflix player starts loading again. To double check, I disable websites from playing protected content. Disabled the playing refresh Netflix, and my monitor was fine. Okay, let me repeat that, because I apologize. I stuttered all over that. I narrowed it down to the Netflix player. First, when I open Chrome, tabs open to where I left off. True. The monitor's color doesn't return until Netflix's player starts loading. To double check, I disabled websites from playing protected content. Disabled the playing refreshed Netflix, and my monitor was fine. In other words, disable the playing refreshed Netflix. Okay, so at the end of watching a video, Netflix will continue playing the next episode. He disabled that feature. I also tried Netflix in Microsoft Edge, and it does the exact same thing. Wonky. Drivers are up to date. Not really a huge deal, but I'm curious as to why this is happening. How is your monitor hooked up to your computer? If I had to guess, well, it's rare, but if I had to guess, I would say that okay. Here's what I think, okay? I just read this, obviously. This is all live. This is what I think. This is my opinion. My opinion is that your HDMI cable isn't strong enough to really support 1080p at 60 frames per second. Or 4K at 60 frames per second, whichever one you want to call it. So whenever you play on Netflix and you maximize the screen and then you turn it back to normal, it messes with the coloring because the cable is insufficient. Okay, in order to play at that particular resolution, you can test this. If it's 1080p at 60 frames per second, go to YouTube and play a 1080p video at 60 frames per second and see, but literally search 1080p 60 frames per second in YouTube, and it will pop up a video that is at 1080p 60 frames per second, and see if that resolves the issue, or that creates the issue. If it does, then that's exactly what's happening, and you may have a bad cable. Switch it over to the 4K side. If it's 4K, and typically Netflix is at like 4K 30 or something like that. So let's say it's at 4K 30, but the resolution of the monitor can't really support 4K, or it's degraded, so that is not. I used to have this red laced HDMI cable that really could support 1080p, but it wasn't great at it. It was only great at supporting 720 for some strange reason. And it's a possibility that you just may have a cable that just doesn't support it. You can figure this out. If you have more than one monitor, swap them and see if it resolves the issue as well. So swap them, or try a different well, you can try another port on your graphics card as well. Swap the monitors, or try YouTube and see if you can recreate the issue with something other than Netflix. And that's how I would handle that situation. Make sure I thought of everything there. Well, I thought of every path that I suggested. I believe so. I think I pretty much hit on all the nails there. That's how I would do it. I would think that maybe his cable may be having issues. It sounds like he has more than one monitor though. Let me see. Okay, maybe he only has one monitor. So if you only have one monitor, then that's how I would handle this situation. Now, if you have a laptop, then all bets are off. If you have a laptop and the laptop is having this kind of an issue only with Netflix, yeah, if you have a laptop, then yeah, it's going to be a little different. If it's a laptop, then I would try to look for drivers and try to do updates and things of that nature. And yeah, make sure all the drivers, including the monitor drivers, are up to date if it is a laptop. But if it's a desktop, look at the cable. Look at the cable, try to swap the inputs, try to swap the cables, so on and so forth. Alrighty, what time is it? 8:48, cool. Oh, Warzone. Okay, so this is a B-side. Those of you at home, that is a blue screen of death, and oh my back is bothering me. Okay, cool, let me make sure I'm in focus. Okay, Warzone crashing. Blue screen of death is the category. Hello, I have recently moved over to PC from PS5. Welcome to the club. And have an i7 11700KF RTX 3070 and 32 gigs of RAM. That boy was not playing. He's like, I'm going all the way in. Before the season update, everything was fine. Okay, so basically Warzone is based on seasons currently, and there was recently an update for the season. So after the update, July 2022, my game keeps crashing, restarting my PC, and I'm getting an occasional blue screen of death. It usually crashes when backing out of a game, trying to close a loadout. Okay, I have seen other threads recently of people crashing and getting a dev error, but this is not the case for me. I have checked that all my drivers are up to date, including his graphics driver, I'm guessing. Ran memory diagnostic and uninstall and reinstall Warzone and still have no luck. Any ideas on whether or not this issue is due to my PC or just it needs a COD update? Thanks for the help. Well, I mean, it's possible. I haven't been looking at the COD support site, but how I would troubleshoot this particular issue is, let me think about this. It crashes with backing out of a game or choosing a loadout. And it crashes, and the whole PC crashes. Okay, so this is what I would do. I would go to the event viewer and see why it's crashing. So whenever it crashes, go to the event viewer, go to hardware, and see why it's crashing. And it should let you know why it's crashing, and then go from there. If it says something like ESET power, then yeah, maybe your issue. But if it says something like NV, meaning that it may have an issue with the graphics, then there may be some incongruency between the RTX 3070 and that. But if that's the case, then multiple people will be having this issue, because there's a lot of people that have an RTX 3070. I have two. So most people have well, not most people, but a lot of people have RTX 3070, and that's a very common card. So if that's the case, then I would check the forums for Call of Duty to see if other people were having this issue. Now, he did mention that people having this issue also got an error whenever it closed out, but it never B-sided them. For it to B-side him, that means that he may be having more so a hardware issue than anything. But he's already updated, you know. So I would say, because he hasn't mentioned it here, he said that he updated drivers and memory diagnostic, but he never mentioned if he updated his BIOS. I would try to update BIOS just to make sure there's nothing else there, but it's kind of a hard one there because I don't know exactly what's happening in the Warzone forums. You know, it may be some other people that are having similar issues, and he may only look, you know, the first page or something like that. It may be something that is well known. So one, I think there's a possibility that it may be related to Warzone. Two, because it's B-sodding him, it's a possibility that it could be hardware. And if it is hardware, then I would check Event Viewer. So before we do anything, I say the first thing and the easiest thing will be to check Event Viewer and see what your errors are called, what errors you get whenever you crash. And it will be under the hardware tab on this particular one, but you can also check the software to see if it's showing any application that's causing the problem. And that's how I would handle it. If it is hardware based, then you would have to look into that. Okay, so he has the PC. I was making sure it wasn't a laptop. So if it's a hardware issue, then I would, well, okay, so if it's starting to look like it's a hardware issue, then I would try other games. So, you know, like WoW or something like that, or just any other game that is currently using that same client to try to keep everything similar. Diablo, whatever. Trying other games that are on that client and seeing if they have the issue as well, where the game is crashing. Now, because it's crashing on a loadout, it's crashing before he even starts the game. So that's the reason why I did not go network connectivity on this. Generally, you would want to go network connectivity if he has a problem and the game is crashing while he's playing a game. Like he's trying to host or something like that, then okay. But at the same time, having a network connectivity issue in Warzone would not cause him to B-side. It would just disconnect him from the application or freeze the application, but it wouldn't actually kill his laptop, his computer. That's a totally different ballgame. So because of that, I feel that he's having more so a hardware issue, because for him to B-side in it is that's interesting. You know, it's a possibility that it could be with Warzone, but it seems a higher probability that it's hardware. I would say 65-35. 65 to be hardware, 35 to be Warzone. 70 to be hardware, 30 to be Warzone, somewhere in that area. Alrighty, so this is going to be from, I'm just making sure I don't have any drop frames, from just_DC. So, wow. HP Omen 15 with a burnt motherboard. I've burnt a motherboard before. I tried to plug in a USB header into a fire line or fire something header. It was a different, it looked exactly like a USB 2 header. Or so I tried to plug it in, and yeah, it burnt it bad too. You couldn't even use it anymore. But it's not like I had that particular cable. I don't even remember the name of it, so obviously I don't know much about it. But yeah, I've done that before. Hello, hi. I have a 2 or 3 year old HP Omen 15 today. I was changing the thermal paste, but I forgot to unplug the battery. Interesting. After a little while, while I wasn't touching anything, I saw a spark and the smoke. The computer doesn't turn on or charge up. Now my question is, any chance to fix the damage? Here's a picture of what I guess is a pair of SMDs burnt. Oh no, bro, it's over. It's over. Alright, next question. I don't think you can repair that. You can try to if you're an electrician, but I wouldn't. Me personally, I would just it's 2 or 3 years old, so it's no longer in warranty either. So yeah, with this one here, man, it looks like that guy is gone. You can try to play with it, like if you have an electrical background, you can try to mess with it, but I don't think it's coming back, man. Sorry about that. Alright, this is from Jacob. Let me scroll down here, make sure everybody can see. Yeah, this looks good. Alright, this is from Jacob and a bunch of numbers. Mr. Jacob Numbers writes, issues with PC in Windows 11. I have a problem that I'm trying to fix on my cousin's PC. he was having issues with it being slow, and he said in Task Manager the system process is using 100% disk space randomly at times. So the first thing I did was make sure he didn't have a virus that was making his computer sluggish. I first did a full scan with Windows Defender, and it was clean after I downloaded Malwarebytes and scanned with the rootkit setting on, of course, and and again it was clean. I then went in with a scan with Kaspersky. Good God, this man is on it. And of course the system was clean, so I felt a little positive it was clean, because viruses can be tricky and can sometimes hide from antiviruses. But I moved on to check for corrupted files and ran SFC/DISM scans, and it did not find anything, which I felt positive it would find something, but surprisingly it didn't. So I moved on to check disk scan, and now I ran into problems. His system doesn't seem to run check disk scan all the way, and sometimes it just skips it completely. Like after entering check disk command, it'll say restart. So I restart, and when I get to the press any key to skip, I don't press anything, and then like I said, sometimes it'll scan a little bit, and then at times it'll just skip after the press any key. I already tried running it through the advanced options screen, but it gives me some error about it not allowing me to do something like that. If someone please can help, if someone can please help me with this issue and the system process issue using 100% disk randomly as well, because I'm kind of out of ideas. It sounds like his drive is getting corrupted. It sounds like his drive may have some bad partitions on it, and because of that he can't actually do a scan disk, because when the scan disk hits the partition that's damaged, it fails. And it fails and returns them back to the main screen. So that's what it sounds like here. It sounds like he may have some damaged partitions on his disk. So what I would personally do currently, because it's going up to 100 and then it coming down and things of that nature, is that his hard drive may be going out. I would go ahead and clone it. I clone it to something else and then replace the hard drive. More than likely he can replace his hard drive on his computer, his particular computer, and see if that makes the issue go away. So I just clone everything on his hard drive. Obviously it's not gonna clone a bad sector on a hard drive. So I clone it to another hard drive and see if that fixes his issue, or SSD or NVMe SSD, whatever he's using. And that's how I would handle this issue. There's no other way around that guy. Yeah, there's no other way around that guy, because he did a check disk, and whenever he tries to do the scan disk and checking everything, that's when he runs into issues. So yeah, I think you've already done everything, bro. You are a good friend. Oh, good cousin. I guess friends won't probably do that for each other, but a good cousin will. All right, let's go ahead and go to. Okay, not that one. How many more I can do? Okay, I got one more. BitLocker. All right. All right, cool. So this is from Zealous Ideal Spray 61. Wow, his name is on point. I don't even know what that is. Removing BitLocker from an old work laptop. Hello there. While digging through the wardrobe the other day, I came across an old work laptop that has a BitLocker login that I keep getting locked out of trying to remember the login. It's only a cheap Toshiba laptop, so it's not possible to remove it. It's not much of a loss really, but it would be nice to have as a Netflix YouTube machine. I appreciate that. Its specs on the laptop sticker say 32 gig SSD. Oh wow. 4 gigs of DDR3, i3 6006U, Windows 10, if that helps at all. I've asked a friend who is a bit more savvy with PC stuff to look at it, and he just says she said the BIOS has a password that she doesn't know how to remove that correct. She also tried to reinstall Windows from a flash drive, but this didn't work. Okay. If someone asks if I can contact the company about the login, they were previously called SSE. Okay, but there's a lot of things called SSE. An energy company in the UK, but merged with another company called OVO, which was before I left. And contacting my old supervisor, he's advised to just take it to the PC shop to get it unlocked, and I could keep it as an old hardware they've had sold for pennies anyway, and they no longer have access to the Windows email logins to access it anyway. Okay, well, I'm not much good at tech stuff, and I'm wondering if a PC shop would be able to remove it for me without it coming off as shady or something. I've got emails between me and my old employer giving me my permission to get it reset if it's needed. Okay, well, here's the thing. My genre, or the genre that I'm trying to create, I tried to create something that does not interfere with other people's hustle. you know, so like Best Buy, stuff like that. I want to do something where I create a sort of genre of troubleshooting without interfering with people, you know, in other companies and replacing hardware and stuff like that. So if it turns out, because his issue is BitLocker and his issue is only with his hard drive, the smarter move would be to replace the SSD, and just call it a day. So, you know, now if he replaces the SSD and he still has the BitLocker is on the drive, but its hash value is generated from the components of the device. So in other words, if I swap out the memory, stuff like that, it'll change the BitLocker password, the hash value. So even if you put in the right information, it would be incorrect. And the only way you can fix that is by getting an administrator to change it for you. Or, you know, if the administrator has some type of a website that you can go to in order to change the password, you can do that as well. So, barring that, I would try to swap out the SSD to see if that fixes the issue. Now, you don't have to actually open a computer up and swap out the SSD. You can just get like a external SSD and try to run Windows from there and see if it fixes the issue. If it does and you can boot to it, then I would just wipe the drive. Well, wipe the drive or replace the drive, because your friend said that she tried it, it wouldn't let her, but she never mentioned if she got to the point where it actually allowed her to wipe the drive. It's only 32 gigs, so it's not really that big anyway, and replacing that with a drive, I'm not sure what the prices are in the UK, but to get something bigger than a 32 gig is really easy to come by, and it's usually a lot cheaper than taking it to a hardware store to get them to fix it. So if you can prove that having it on a different hard drive would fix the issue, then just replace the hard drive. If not, then go ahead and take it to the repair store, because it sounds like that's what you have plans on doing anyway. I personally don't know of another way to get out of BitLocker outside of administrator privileges and going to the options, and then, you know, but at the same time you would need the administrator information, and if they don't have it, then it's kind of hard to get around that guy outside of just wiping the drive. Alrighty, so that's what I have for you guys today. I think that pretty much touched on all of his issues there. I hope that works for you, Zealous. It looks like a couple people had some questions, some answers on that as well. So we will call it here. Just make sure nobody had any questions. Okay, cool. And it looks like we're at time. So thank you guys again for watching another episode. I'll start getting these together. I kind of want to do kind of like a live stream 24/7 kind of thing. We'll see how that goes. And it has been a pleasure today. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you like this video, go ahead and like button. If you really like it, go ahead and subscribe. I love you either way. Take care. All the best and bye.